Let's talk to the owner of multiple bars in downtown Orlando, who also runs multiple charities, two thriving online businesses. Oh, and he's the father of two teenage girls. Welcome to the Orlando Real Estate Lifestyle, where we explore the intersection of Orlando real estate and your best life. I'm Phil Kruse, here to help you make the most out of your journey in the city beautiful. Today, I'll be interviewing Scott Kotroba, a UF grad who is crushing life in every way possible. Scott is the executive chairman of the Athlete Connections Foundation, the president of the Orange County Sheriff Foundation, the owner of OrlandoJobs.com. Wait, I'm not done yet. The owner of two buildings, 5 bars, a restaurant in downtown Orlando, and he's the father of a 13 and 16-year-old teenage girls. You listening out there, don't tell me you don't have enough time after hearing that. Scott, welcome to the Orlando Real Estate Lifestyle, and thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, and I think you just stressed me the heck out.
I can only imagine. If you're not watching on YouTube, man, he's got a full head of hair though, so I don't know.
It's running. It's turning gray. So
there you go. Scott, before we dig into the questions, I want to let the listener know out there that next week on May 29th, the Athlete Connection Foundation is hosting their annual Scholarship Awards banquet. I saw online that tickets are still available for $30. Is that true?
100% true. We're going to be doing it at City Hall in the Rotunda, and we're going to honor 12 of our local graduating seniors with scholarships and computers and send them off to school the right way.
Awesome. And you listening out there, just know I'm going to have that information embedded in as a link in the episode description on podcast or Spotify, whatever. When you scroll down, you'll see it there. And while we're on shameless plugs, I am a real estate agent, and one of my main lead sources are listeners like you. So when it's your time to make a real estate decision, or if you're talking to a friend or family member out there over a beer or a glass of wine at dinner, think of me, Phil Kruse with a K, Kruse. Just Google my name, throw real estate, throw Orlando at the end. I'm going to hit. I'm on all social platforms @_ Phil Kruse. Again, Kruse with a K. And my my cell phone number is right in the episode description. So when you're going on there to find out about Scott's charitable ventures and his website and so on, you're going to see my cell phone number and my website. Shoot me a text. I'm here to help. And a portion of every one of my real estate sales goes to charity. I mentor at the New Image Youth Center in Paramore in downtown Orlando. If you don't have a charity you want to point the money I'm going to donate on your behalf to, I'll happily do it to them, or one of Scott's charities like the Athlete Connection Foundation.
That's awesome, man. That is great to hear. I love that. I love it. That's everything right there.
Thank you, Scott.
Good connect.
Yeah. I appreciate that. And Scott, you obviously have a lot going on, and we can take this podcast in a lot of different directions. But I want to first focus on your charitable efforts, because as I alluded to, that's where my heart is, front and center. Can you tell me and the listener more about the Athlete Connections Foundation?
Sure. It's definitely a project, a passion project, a project of love. Dan Cross, the Hall of Fame, University of Florida Hall of Fame basketball player in the 90s, started this foundation 18 years ago. And he's an amazing professional basketball player. I went to University of Florida in the mid 90s to date myself. Avid fan of Dan Cross. I mean, we're known as a football school. And when we went to the Final Four and he took them to the Final Four, that group of guys, that whole city shut down. That whole Gainesville shut down. And it was amazing. And lo and behold, we came across each other going on 20 years ago here in Central Florida. And we did some different business together and some different things. And he had started Athlete Connections Foundation. And the mission is to help at-risk youth through athletics. So we use athletics as the medium to teach life skills to the Central Florida youth, whether it's simple banking skills that you're not learning maybe in the traditional educational system, legal, how to navigate the legal systems and what's going on, what you're allowed to say, what you're not allowed to say, all the way down to just requiring them to go do additional education. One of the things that I've taken my pride in since I've been the chair for the past 6 years is making sure the youth does something after they graduate high school. It's so timely. I've gone to 2 high school graduations. For some reason, every young adult in my life is graduating high school right now. And what we try to do through Athlete Connections is making sure we're putting expectations on these kids, that when they move on, they go to the next step. It could be a Division I scholarship for basketball or football, or it could be a trade school. But they need to do something. We don't want them to sit stagnant and get caught up in life. And that's just a recipe for potential disaster. So we want to do and be that, along with their parents, and be that parental force that says, hey, what are you doing next? What are you doing next? This isn't a stop. This is a keep going kind of process. So we use Athlete Connections Foundation for that, to really help, along with the many other activities that we do throughout the year, for sure.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, life is a continuous journey. And for me, it's a continuous growth journey. And if you're a young person and you haven't been exposed to that philosophy, whether your parents aren't there or they're not capable, or that just hasn't been presented to those parents to give it to them, the kids might be lost without direction. It's amazing that you guys are providing more than just an athletic outlet, but a foundation and a direction for them.
Yeah, for sure. And we got so many, we have a board team of about 15, 16 people, and they're all highly engaged and available to talk to this group of youth at any level. Sometimes they need a motherly figure, sometimes they need a friend, sometimes they need a coach, and sometimes they need that hard-ass parent that's going to just really sit them down and tell them straight. And we have a good group of people that do that, from our coaches to our board members. We're all available to really direct them and provide resources. Sometimes it's money, but sometimes, like I said, it's a good conversation.
Cool. I mean, you're absolutely right. That sounds great. And it sounds great that you have such a large board of engaged folks and aren't just sitting there passively. I do want to ask, though.
It's tough in foundations. It's tough in charities. You know that.
Right. Other than the banquet you have going on next week, what are some of the other events you throw throughout the year for Athlete Connect?
Yeah, for sure. We do some big fundraisers and community events. So in September, we're going to host our I think it's our 13th annual celebrity golf tournament. That'll be in September. Yeah, celebrity golf tournament. Last year we had Vince Carter out there playing with us. We had Nick Anderson and Bo Outlaw in the past couple of years. So we have some good local support and good local athletes. And again, that's a testament to who we are as a foundation, but also Dan Cross and his connections throughout the sports world across the United States, for sure. So we do that. We've been doing it at Hawks Landing at Marriott Resort. We might be changing it this year to switch it up a little bit, to have a little fun and stress everybody out. But we do that to raise money to help the youth and making sure that the teams are fully supplied. They're able to go to different tournaments and that sort of thing, and also help provide resources for any of the kids that might need it. We have a lot of different socioeconomic levels in the team. So we want to make sure we're providing the platform, not overindulgence, but a platform to succeed. And that's what a lot of those monies go to. And then we also have our annual Christmas toy drive. We've been doing that for 5 years now, and that's at the Northwest Community Center off of Mercy Drive. And we've been really successful there, just making an impact in that community. And I mean, when we roll out there, last year we rolled out with a couple of U-Hauls. I think we had 2,500 or 3,000 toys. We've had DJs and bounce houses and multiple Santa Clauses, and giving away bikes with Commissioner Hill, and it's just a testament to what she's done in this community. And I know there's a lot of political stuff going on with her at this time, but my experience and the things that I've done with her and through her resources have been absolutely awesome. So she is the hardest working person in those neighborhoods that I've seen. And again, I'm not speaking to anything else, but her heart was always in the right place when I dealt with her.
Well, that's great to hear, and there's no doubt in my mind that that's the case. And you mentioned the toy drive, so I want to pivot and focus on that a little bit. You shared a story with me about how your philanthropic journey has affected your family, has affected your daughters, and it's associated, at least one story is associated with the toy drive. So I want to go ahead and take the opportunity to ask you, how has your philanthropy rubbed off on your daughters?
Yeah, for sure. I think you have to take a couple steps back in order to get to that point. Once you've seen failures and successes in small business, and and what is success and how do you define it? And we can talk about that a little later. I have an analogy in my head that I kind of live by. Whether it works for everybody or not, I don't really know. I'm a little all over the place when I think.
Sure.
But you know, once you start to see some success in what you're doing, you say, wait a second, I have some skill sets here that I've developed over time that you think everybody has, but you're not real sure. And you start to apply them to other things. And you're like, wait a second, there's some things that I could give back to the community. And my business partner along the way, Roger Lear, has always been heavily involved in community events and being part of foundations from Florida Hospital all the way down to, you know, the local chambers and that sort of thing. So we've always been a big, at OrlandoJobs.com, we've always been a big community supporter. And I started that venture getting into the foundations with the sheriff's office and things like that. And started to see the rewards and what you're able to do and just different people you're able to meet and fulfill that journey of what you're trying to do. And I'm a firm believer in, you know, life is about creating fun and happiness and leaving memories, making lasting memories for the people that you leave behind, you know, at the end of the day. And how do you go about doing that? You know, and money's important and you want to have that money to live the lifestyle you want to live, but how do you go about making your impact and leaving your fingerprint on whatever is left when you're done at the end of the day. So with Athlete Connections, we were approached to do a toy drive over on Mercy Drive, and we did it the first year, and we gave out a couple hundred gifts, and it was pretty cool, and had my daughters out there. I think at that time one was 10 and one was 12, and we went out and gave out gifts, and it was rewarding and fun and that sort of thing. We were part of a bigger kind of episode of what was going on. And then the following year, we decided that we were the focus, and we were going to make it a lot bigger through our charity. And my 10-year-old daughter said, you know, we're trying to figure out ways to collect gifts. And sometimes in life, you just have to give them a platform or a runway to give. A lot of people want to give back, but sometimes it's a hurdle. They don't know how to. Right. They don't know what resources. They have the good heart, but where is it going to be best used? And, you know, a lot of that comes from trust. And when you either give $100 to somebody to go buy, you know, 5-6 gifts, or whether you give 5 or 6 gifts, you want to make sure they get to the right place. And lo and behold, my 10-year-old was like, hey, wait a second, you know, my school doesn't do a toy drive. And she goes to St. Mary Magdalene up in Maitland, and she's graduating 8th grade now, moving on. But she said, I wonder if they would be interested in being involved. And I'm like, I think that would be great. Go talk to your principal. And she's like, well, no, can you just call her or email her? And I'm like, right. It's not my thing. I got a lot going on over here. I think that's something you need to step up and do. And composed an email, and, you know, dad stepped in or mom stepped in and helped word it up a little bit, but it was pretty well thought out. And she got a meeting with the principal and sat down in front of all the teachers. And I think one of the teachers said to her, hey, what are you doing in the teachers meeting? She's like, I was asked to be here. And she stood up in front of all the teachers and told them about the toy drive and explained it to them. And next thing you know, we're pulling up with a U-Haul a week before the event. And I think we're picking up 500 toys. I think wow. At that stage in the toy drive, it was the biggest supplier of toys out of any of our resources. And that's because a 10-year-old decided to say, hey, that looks like something interesting my dad's doing. And she spoke to her principal. And sometimes life is never that easy, but sometimes giving back is that easy. And I was able to let her speak in front of we do a toy drive gala, a way to give back, and at the Citrus Club. And I was able to get her on the mic and have a 10-year-old speak to a bunch of kids and adults and everybody, and just tell her story and her testimony. And at that time, you know, we spoke as, you know, you teach your kids, and you hope that you're teaching them the right way and morals and values and how to treat people and how to do this. And every once in a while in life, you just see it land. And that moment, I saw it land. And you're like, wait a second, my kid doesn't want to talk to me. They don't want to hear me give a lesson. They're like, Dad, stop. I don't want to hear this again. And all of a sudden, you see it in real life action, and you see it land, and she's speaking, and she's proud, and you're proud, and you go home with tears in your eyes and you're saying, wait a second, I'm doing something here. So it's pretty cool.
I mean, that is such an inspiring story for somebody who's on a similar path to you, at least with the charity and philanthropic stuff. It fills me with additional motivation and hope. I have 3 little kids, an 8, a 6, and a 4-year-old. And, you know, they see me doing this stuff. They hear me talking about it and walking the walk as well. And I'm excited to know that what my instinct was telling me, which is it's going to rub off on them, is actually true. And you're a real life example of that.
Yeah, and again, you question yourself as a parent every day. You're like, what are we doing? How short is that skirt, or how makeup at what age? I don't
Right.
know. You try to do your right thing, and you're like, I don't know. And then you see it land, and it keeps you motivated. It keeps you going, and at the end of the day, you get friends involved in these charities, and I think some of my roles is keep giving people a path to give back, because I really do believe society as a whole wants to contribute to the betterment of society as a whole. And there's hurdles to doing that. Everybody's busy. Everybody is stressed. No one has enough time to do anything. We know that. But when you provide a path for someone to help, whether it's financial, what we always say in foundations is you have time, talent, and treasure. So do you have time to give back? Do you have the talent to give back, or do you have the financial treasure to give back? Any of those are good. All three is the best, but anything helps along the way.
Right. Anybody needs that. Any charity needs that. And I'm going to use that as a segue partially to say, if you listening out there fit that mold that Scott just alluded to, where you want to give back like most of us do, but you haven't done it yet, or you're lacking the know-how where to go, contact me or contact Scott directly. I'll point you to organizations that Scott are involved with or that I'm involved with. And here comes the shameless plug again. Listen to my podcast. I'm interviewing local business leaders, philanthropic leaders like Scott, like Shantae Barton Stubbs from the New Image Youth Center. You can hear what these people are doing on a day-to-day basis, how they're affecting your community. And then you can decide, either through my help or doing it directly yourself, to go and donate your time, your treasure, or your talent. I have other interviews on there with business owners, like the owner of Pig Floyd, Scott Ward, the owner and CEO, co-owner and CEO of Hawkers, Caleb Harrell. And that's just the beginning, guys. I got more coming. I just did a lifestyle-oriented episode last week about the importance of a morning routine. It's extremely important for anyone who wants to thrive in life, especially for entrepreneurs and people that are making their own schedules, and tips about real estate, of course. So I have 2 episodes about how to buy a lake house. I interviewed a financial planner for you, a mortgage broker for you, etc. So jump on your podcast platform, Spotify, Apple, what have you, 5-star review, like and subscribe. You'll get a notification every Monday when this episode and all the other episodes drop. And don't forget about my real estate services. I'm a listing specialist, and I can help your home sell at the highest price and at the fastest way possible. I have an entire episode, podcast episode about that. And it's called The Auction Effect. Check it out. I'm happy to help you. This is what I do. And again, a portion of all my commissions go towards either the New Image Youth Center or a charity of your choosing. Now, enough of that. Back to Scott.
I watched Thomas and Caleb, their podcast. Those are great guys. I don't know Caleb, but I need to know him. But Thomas is a great guy. He's a very intuitive, very smart business guy. Caleb is right up my alley because I'm a big sneaker fan, sneakerhead, and a big 90s hip hop guy. So I think I need to break bread with him at some point.
Well, that sounds like something I need to be involved in. I would love to be the triangulation, and maybe we can all get together, because I haven't met Caleb in person either. So that'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah. Seems great. He definitely knows what he's doing. That's for sure.
That is for sure. Scott, how has, we've been talking a lot about philanthropy. You're obviously an entrepreneur and a multi-business owner. Let's mesh the two together. How has philanthropy impacted your business life?
It's a good question. It's enriched my business life. You start doing it because you want to give back. And I want to say I've closed these big deals here and there because of philanthropy, and they brought me. I don't think that's the case, but it's allowed me to meet very amazing people that I would not have met if I stayed in my business silo. With OrlandoJobs.com, we're obviously dealing with a lot of HR people and talent acquisition people in companies in Central Florida, a lot of business owners. But with the foundation, it's allowed me to kind of expand that resource a little bit. It's allowed me a seat at the table. When I first joined the Orange County Sheriff Foundation, and then I'm no longer the chair of that. I stepped down a couple of years ago, but I was the chair of it for just over 5 years, and that was when Sheriff Demings was the sheriff at Orange County, and now he's the mayor of Orange County. And very happy to say that he's a text away. He's an amazing person. Consider him a good friend. And those are the people that you're meeting. You're meeting genuine people that want to help people either in times of need or in times of stress. And from one of my favorite people in the world is Don Pruitt. He's a old banker here in town over the years and years. I believe he's in his 70s at this point, but we call him the godfather of all these foundations because he's helped start the Orange County Sheriff Foundation and moved us to, starting the Seminole County Sheriff Foundation a couple of years ago. And then we came over back to Orlando and started the Orlando Police Foundation. And he's been a kingpin of all of that. And he has an amazing story of when he was a kid and he fell off his bike and a police officer picked him up and brought him home and sat with him until his parents came home. And this guy will give you the shirt off his back. He's a highly successful person, but he is very passionate about giving back to the community that he lives in and that serves him. So when you meet people like that, it just shows you that the world's bigger than going to your job and going home and even just raising your kids. There's a bigger, expand your bubble, expand your situation, and meet these individuals that inspire you either to do better in your job or just do better in life. Again, life is, we want to make money and we want to be successful. I don't think I ever got to be an entrepreneur or started businesses. Entrepreneur is a weird word for me these days because there's a lot of different definitions that I don't believe in.
That's right.
But you want to be successful and I want to make money, but my success is never measured by cash flow or by dollars. It's measured by success and impact. Yeah. And whether you make that success and impact in a business standpoint, that results in financial success. But success and impact, obviously leads you right into the philanthropic area. And you get to see the success and impact when your daughter is holding hands with a 3-year-old on Mercy Drive and there might be a police officer at the gate to make sure everybody's safe and they're walking around and picking out stuffed animals. And you're like, wait a second here. This is success. This is what you want out of life and being open to different cultures. And my wife, we just had our 20th anniversary. She's a financial advisor at Schwab for 28 years. She was born in Trinidad, and her amazing mom, they immigrated from here to New York, and fortunately they made it down to Orlando so I could meet her. I mean, the ability to just different cultures and just breathe it all in. And Orlando has such a diverse, and complex area of what we have, from the Hispanic culture to the Caribbean cultures to just everything. And it's just it is a true melting pot of what you get here. And again, in life, you get to take and pick whatever you want. But when there's more options at the table, when you're at the buffet and you start to meet people, and when I was in college, I was originally an engineering major, and I met a group of Indian fellas that I really bonded with, and all this sort of thing. And it's just, to me, that's what life is, and exposing your kids to that in a positive way. Amazing. Hey, we're starting to define success here, Phil.
Why and what's so fun too about interviewing people like you, Scott, and just in this growth journey I'm on, perpetual growth journey, and meeting people, is you start to find out how much you have in common with people. And it motivates you even more. I have an engineering degree. All right. So that's what I went to school for. I'm married to an international spouse. My wife is Brazilian, which obviously Orlando's chock full of Brazilians. You couldn't find a bigger Orlando advocate than I am. I am absolutely obsessed with Orlando. I think Orlando's the best city in the world, or at least in the United States. And we are on hot fire, crazy growth. And then the last thing that struck me with your story there is at the beginning, how you're humble. And your body language, your inflection, you didn't want to give any of your business growth. You didn't want to say it was because of your philanthropic. And I want to unpack that from my personal perspective, because I tell people all the time, look, and I wrestle with this myself, Scott, and that's why it really resonated with me. Am I giving back just because it makes me feel good? Right. Because when you give a kid a toy, when you devote your time, you feel amazing.
Yeah.
Is that the reason I'm doing it? And should I feel bad about is that selfish? I say, you know what?
Tough, right? Yeah.
Screw all that. It's the best kind of selfish there possibly can be. If you're going to donate your time, your treasure, your skill set to the world, to better the world, because it makes you feel good, you know what? Be as selfish as you possibly can in that capacity, because you are helping so many people, and you're gonna get these. The world brings the energy back to you. You're gonna meet these great people. It's gonna help your life, maybe not your business, but it's certainly gonna help your personal life, better friends. You're going to grow. You're going to be exposed to more cultures. Everything you just said resonated with me there. And thank you for sharing all that. That's awesome.
No, that's awesome. I'm glad you have the same experience. And I think that's why life, brings the parallels together, and meeting you through one of my best business partners, Maddie, which is an interesting story. But, people are supposed to be brought together, I think. And, there's a philosophical piece there that, good people find good people.
Absolutely. I know Maddie's background pretty well. We've gotten to know each other. That's a story for you and I to unpack over that coffee, maybe with Caleb. Let's keep moving forward, though. I want to pivot, because we've kind of, again, meshed business and entrepreneurship and philanthropy here. So let's talk more about your business stuff. I want to know about OrlandoJobs.com. What is that?
Yeah, it's a job board. We've been around. We started in the job board industry in 2001 with GreatInsuranceJobs.com, which is a national job advertising site, not unlike Indeed or ZipRecruiter. And we were focusing on the insurance business across the country, and we were local. We were right here off of. We were originally on Park Avenue in Winter Park, and then we went to Lake Ivanhoe, and then we were fortunate enough to buy a historic building in downtown. And we've been doing this since 2004 at Orlando Jobs, and in the employment business since 2001. And we advertise employment across the Central Florida area. So we have all local employers advertising jobs on our site. People can apply via our website. We do 3 very large job fairs at the Kia Center every year. That started off with a diversity job fair that we did over Classic Weekend with Florida Citrus Sports. And Classic Weekend would have their Battle of the Bands at night, and have
Bethune-Cookman versus FAMU.
Yeah, great event. Just amazing event. If you haven't seen Battle of the Bands, it's just phenomenal. But we would come in during the day, and we have about 100 to 130 employers set up, and we have about 2,000 to 4,000 candidates come through, depending on the need for jobs at any given point. And we've been doing that for 10 years now. And then we expanded to 2 other job fairs that we do throughout the year at the same setting. So we do Hire Day Orlando and Orlando Job Fair.
Amazing. So if you listening out there,
Hirepalooza. We're real creative with that one, called Hirepalooza.
Hirepalooza?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's a fun name, catchy. I want the listener to understand, like, if you're looking for a job in Orlando, boom, OrlandoJobs.com. If you're an employer and you're looking for employees, boom, OrlandoJobs.com. So I'm going to put the website, that's easy to remember, on the project or the episode description. And I was going to ask you about that historic building. It sounds like you purchased it for OrlandoJobs.com or for the insurance.
Yeah, I mean, when we get into entrepreneurship, like I always say, there's a bunch of different levels in investing in real estate and that sort of thing. Growing up, I think I'm a little older than you. I'm 50 now, so.
Today's my 41st birthday, believe it or not.
Today is happy birthday. I should have had a
much.
cake for you. Yeah, you did tell me that. 41st. Okay. Yeah. That's amazing. Congrats.
Thank you.
And, like, what are we trying to do? We had this business, and I'm not a real estate investing. I seen people growing up and how they made their monies, and their retirement sometimes was through real estate. My parents bought a house back in the 70s for $20,000 and sold it for $100, and then did something else, and they made money. And I'm like, okay, that's what we do. So my wife and I, when we first got married, we bought a house, and we invested in a real estate property, and then we bought our next house. And next thing you know, the market in 2007, just 2008, just kind of went away. And we're just like, what are we doing? And my wife is a pretty conservative. Again, she's a financial advisor, a CFP, and she doesn't like to have high risk investments. So I guess that's the duality of our relationship.
Good.
But
Yeah.
it was like, what happened here? So that we kind of put a stop to that. But when we were doing the commercial real estate thing, you know, we were already spending a tremendous amount of money in rent and resources and things like that. And
for your businesses.
for the business, yeah, you know, we had, you know, 18 employees, and what are we doing here? And, you know, we were starting to see some success and that sort of thing. And then my business partner, Roger Lear, and I started looking for businesses. And we said, you know what, we found a place, a historic building in downtown, and we put our flag in, and it was a lot easier because we were owner occupied. So from a real estate investment standpoint, I'm not going out there and buying commercial buildings and trying to lease them out. That's very scary for me. But we were owner occupied, and we had a great building. And then next thing you know, we were downstairs. We have a 2-story building. We were moving upstairs, and we had a great tenant, and they're still down there, called Shikai Sushi Lounge.
Oh, yeah.
And we went upstairs, and they came in downstairs, and next thing you know, we have a tenant, and we were a landlord. So life comes at you fast.
Wouldn't you know that I'm good friends with the owners of Shikai, Owen and Jen?
Yeah. Oh, great people.
Their
Just
kids
great
put them on
people.
school and karate and all that. So there you go.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, some of my favorite people out there. Like, I don't even know if I think we're more friends than tenants at this point. You know, but we have a great relationship with them, and hopefully a long-term one as well.
Sure, I hope so too, and I would say we've entered into the entrepreneurship realm of this conversation for sure. You made the tip of the iceberg, and a lot of people out there listening wonder, how do these people get to where they are? And I think your story is a great example. It kind of was out of necessity at the beginning, and somewhat common sense. You know, we're paying all this gobs of lease rent. We can afford out of our success to buy something. You get in downtown. Next thing you know, you own, you know, more than one building. You said you have tenants. So how did that initial purchase and the acquisition of your first tenant on the bottom floor, how did that blossom into a full portfolio of a multifaceted business career that you have, including various business holdings and so forth?
You know, what's funny is you know, I go back. This is going to sound rather cliche, maybe, or whatever, but I go back to when I was after school at my grandmother's house, and you know, she always asked me what I wanted to do when I grow up, and you know, a lot of kids were saying astronauts or firemen or something really awesome. And for some reason, I have no idea why. I don't know what. I said I wanted to be the boss. And,
you wanted to be the boss?
The boss. I don't even know what that meant, or it just kind of stuck. I don't even know if it's true, but that's what my parents tell me I said.
That's awesome.
Because I don't know why anybody would want that. But, you know, I wanted to control my destiny, I think, is really, hopefully, it sounds good now. Hopefully that's what I meant, is I wanted to control my destiny. And I was always about that, whether it was coming out of college and working for a major health system. What do I do there? What's my impact? Your impact wasn't as big. I'd like to make impact. I think that's a theme of my life. And then I moved from St. Petersburg to Orlando, which I don't know many people that do that, but it was a great move for me. It was before St. Pete became really cool. So it was a while ago.
Yeah, over on the west coast of Florida, sure.
Yeah, for sure. And so got to Orlando, and you know, started a business with my business partner, and you know, we started building out websites in 2000. And again, it's out of necessity, is you want to make an impact, right? And then we had the building, and then you have a tenant, and then you have to learn that. And to me, that's what entrepreneurship is being that Swiss Army knife of multiple tools. Do I need to put my finance hat on today? Do I need to put my sales hat on? Do I need to put my marketing hat on? Do I need to be a landlord? What role do I get to play today? And that, to me, is what makes me tick. If I have to do one thing after another every single day, that I kind of become dull. And I get a little distracted and get caught up in my mind, and I don't ever want to get caught up in my mind. That's a bad place sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah. So I always like the next adventure. I like the starting process, and I think that's where my skill sets really lend. You know, is getting things started and you know, making a move. You know, all too often people want to start their business and they spend their whole time trying to figure out what their logo is, and at the end of the day. Working on your logo is something you do at 3 a.m. in the morning, but if you're not out there selling and creating a market, like your logo means nothing. Right. And you know, we're talking to the 20-year-olds and the 30-year-olds that we're building businesses with, and trying to bestow that knowledge. You know, I sound very old at this point, but trying to bestow that knowledge on them. And sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't hit. And, I've been fortunate enough that, when Maddie and I started working together back 16 years ago, he's an amazing individual that it hit. I mean, he is multifaceted. He's a promoter and a operator all in one, and a great friend. And you don't find that often. You don't find that multifaceted tool. And to me, that's what a true entrepreneur is, someone that can handle a lot of different silos at the same time.
And identify the right people to work with, right? I mean, if you don't
that's
find
still hard. Yeah.
If you don't find a Maddie, if you don't make those networking connections, if you're not putting yourself out there, you can wear all the hats you want. You're going to drown. You gotta have the resources.
Yeah, and people come into your life in different ways. And our other business partner, Randy Wilds, who was a chiropractor by trade, and a business investor, has become one of my closest friends as well. And we kind of got stuck together through kind of a bad business deal, and it was a marriage made in heaven because we just see eye to eye with life and destinations of what we're trying to do here. And sometimes it's planned and sometimes it's not planned. And, I consult a lot on hiring because it's Orlando jobs. And I know there's some good personality tests and what you really want. You take this structure of the right individual and do a personality profile on them and try to hire more people like it. That's good, maybe for some large companies that really see success with it, that can go through thousands and thousands of people. The real theory is get good people in and assess them and depart fast if you can. If it's not successful, and hopefully it's in a good way. Hopefully you put your expectations and they put their expectations all on the table.
Right.
And then if those expectations aren't being met, then you politely part ways. Very hard to do. I don't care what anybody says. Some people are hardcore and can do it right away. They're probably assholes. But because you want to care about people in life, and you want to cheer for people. So it's very hard to part ways, but the sooner you can do it when it's not a good situation, the better your business is going to be.
You couldn't say that better. And it's about how you treat people in life. I mean, everywhere we go, we leave some sort of a residue, whether it's in people's brains. You don't burn bridges. You always want to leave the doors open. I mean, I mentor UCF engineering students. I've been doing it for almost 10 years. And one of my key things is it's not what you know, it's who you know. And you never know when that networking connection that you made in college, elementary school, your old boss, you just simply never know. The more doors and windows we leave open in life, the more the breeze can blow something in. You know what I mean?
What was your engineering major, by the way?
Mechanical.
Mechanical?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I was, when I went to University of Florida, I was an environmental engineering major, and we were filling out the application and I had no career development. So I went up there and said, I'm going to be an engineering major. And I already had all the maths and all that stuff done. And they said, well, what engineering major? And I'm like, I want to be in engineering. I don't know, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
They gave me a list of like 30. And I'm I have no clue. And I picked environmental, not knowing what it was or what it is. And that lasted for 2 or 3 years. And I'm like, okay, we need to switch this out. It's not my passion.
Sure. Well, I think you settled in quite nicely. I want to still focus on the entrepreneurship and focus on, now I want to pivot a little bit more into downtown specifically. You're obviously heavily invested in there. What are the bars and restaurants that you have your fingers in the pie on down there or own outright?
Sure. Next door to my office was being built out when we moved in was Bulliett Bar. And that's kind of where I cut my teeth. And they were supposed to expand to my downstairs where Shikai was originally. And that's how I got involved in Bulliett Bar as a part owner and being a landlord-tenant combo thing. Obviously, I like to do a lot of combo things because it kind of limits your risk, moving forward. And that deal fell through very quickly. And next thing you know, some bad business happened, and Randy and myself and another investor kind of became owners of Bulliett Bar, never running a bar in forever, ever running a bar. And we're like, wait a second here, what are we doing? So we kind of worked our way through that and just kind of dealt with a lot of crap and dealt with a lot of disgruntled other owners that we had to buy out or whatever the situation was. And then we came across Maddie and kind of we took that and we just started running with it, and everybody put their head down and ran it like a business. We didn't run it like a pastime or a hobby or, hey, I always wanted to have a bar. I never really wanted to own a bar. It was never a passion of mine. But it's a business. If you treat it like a business and you hold people accountable, every once in a while some good things happen. And Bullitt's been there for over 16 years now. We had the opportunity to build out McQueen's. It was 1980s office space on the second floor. So we got our first cut dealing with the city and permitting and construction and historical buildings. And we could go on and on. We could do 10 podcasts on that. But we were able to open McQueen's, and we were able to buy Crow across the street, which is, we're talking just east of Bulliett and McQueen's. We were running that for a number of years, and then COVID hit. And then recently, the past year and a half, I guess, we were able to buy basement and attic and treehouse. Nice. And they had a restaurant in there, Jimmy Hula's, which we didn't keep. And that's when we started Papi Smash'd Burgers. And that's kind of the restaurant that we have downtown that's been hopping and doing a lot of different things in the community.
Wow. That's quite the thing from, again, happenstance almost to a certain extent.
I think it's important to realize, too, is just because you have all that doesn't mean you have success everywhere.
Right.
You have ups and downs, and it's ebbs and flows, and the downside to social media and the downside to a lot of things is everybody's killing it. And, oh, look at Scott, he owns 5 bars and whatever the case. Like, I have a lot of team behind me. I'm not a sole owner of all of it. I have partners in each of them. Some of them are doing well. Some of them are breaking even. And we closed down Crow and we're trying to reinvent it. And it's not all easy, but it's not all pure profit. I mean, especially in this landscape in downtown with what's going on and how the city's working it and things like that. It's not easy, and it's not like you're making millions every day just because you own that stuff. It's a grind.
Well, let's focus in on that thing you said. Obviously, it's a grind, but let's focus back on Orlando and what the city's doing. I mean, I used to go downtown all the time in my 20s and 30s. I was at Casey's. I was at barbecue bar, dancing the night away out in the back at Spy Bar and the Lodge, all those places. I loved it. But, now as a family man, in my early 40s, I don't feel the same draw. So what is the city of Orlando doing to change things up in downtown to attract my generation and your generation? If anything?
Yeah, I think I can't tell you what I can tell you what they're doing from the outside looking in.
Okay.
I don't know what conversations are happening behind closed doors. I know the goal is to have safety.
Right.
I think that's very important. I do not think downtown is unsafe.
Okay.
I had my daughter's 16th birthday downtown. We had a group of 70 kids down here and had security to make sure everybody was going in the right direction. But I did not feel unsafe. I think downtown has a very bad rap right now with safety, and we have a lot of cops down here. And is that good or bad? I think that's some of the conversations that are happening. If you see a group of cops, 6 or 7 groups of cops on a corner, do you feel safer or do you feel not as safe because why are they here? It's a double-edged sword. It's a little bit of marketing and publicity and PR, and how do we handle that? I do feel downtown safe. I do feel that downtown could be safer. I do feel that we do need families like ours to come downtown more, and we need to offer them something, because right now there's not much to offer. A family coming into downtown. What I'm very proud of is at Papi Smash'd Burgers, there's my plug, we do have a lot of people that come downtown for that on a Saturday or Sunday, and it's not easy to do. They have to find parking. They have to go to a parking garage. They have to find meters. But they will come down for that. So you have the Kia Center for the Magic or events going on there. You have DPAC with Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center. Why else are people coming downtown? We're proud to say that they're coming downtown because they saw some burgers on Instagram saying, I got to get me a burger.
Yeah.
But after a Magic game, are you coming with your kids to get a milkshake at Papi's? What are we trying to do? And I think the city has good intentions to make it safer, and they want some more retail and some more restaurants and things like that. But with this PR of downtown being dangerous and not safe, and we got to attack that first. I don't know if you heard, but Hamburger Mary's just announced they're moving out of downtown. They've been a mainstay down here at Church Street.
Yeah,
that was announced, I think, today. That was first I heard of it, at least. And it's just like we're losing another anchor tenant, and we can't have that. We can't. We got to support these businesses, and we got to take these homegrown businesses and make them successful by any means. I don't know. We got to figure that out.
You're absolutely right. Do you have any insight? Like, where do you see downtown Orlando real estate headed? I mean, you got condos for purchase, lots of apartments, obviously tons of commercial. It seems like there's a lot of vacant space, maybe in these old buildings. I mean, do you have an opinion as to where you think it's going down there, the real estate market?
There it is. I mean, I hope it's going up at some point. I mean, we have 15,000 square feet down here,
Yeah.
but you know, we still keep investing. Like even today, we're investing in downtown. We're putting money into putting lipstick and remodeling something, and as we speak. So we still are firm believers in downtown in the long term. I think we're definitely in a bit of a lull. We could talk about reasons why that lull is. I think some of the venues and the bars and people that are stakeholders in downtown feel a little bit angst coming from the city.
Yeah.
Not to get too much into that, but you know, we just had the public parking shutting down, or it's not shutting down at 11. It's only not letting people in after 11. So your car is still fine. You could leave downtown anytime you want. It's just you can't come in after 11. But
Okay.
that's just yet another like dart at the businesses in downtown. It's not going to help us. We know that.
Right.
You know, so what are we going to do to help us survive? You know, and Papi Smash'd Burgers, we're looking for another location because we know downtown can't be our flagship
Yeah.
store. It's something that's always going to be there because it's what we cut our teeth in the restaurant business. But we need to find a location that could be a flagship store where it has street traffic, that has easy parking, that has, you know, give it our best try and really see what's there. And again, we'll forever be grateful this is our seed. But how do you keep promoting that and that sort of thing? So how downtown works is I'd love to sit on the same side of the table as the city and what their initiatives are, rather than sitting on the opposite side of the table.
Sure.
Maybe that'll happen. You know, I have some great connections and I have some good people in the city, and I tell them that every day. Anytime you guys want to sit down and have an official meeting and let's really brainstorm and get a whiteboard and say, hey, we're already investing our livelihood in downtown.
Right.
I'm investing my future in downtown as a stakeholder. I want it to be safe, right? Who doesn't? I don't want anybody to be hurt in any of our nighttime venues. I want them to be safe. We have our employees here, their family. We don't want anything to happen. And we want people to come downtown tomorrow and next week and the week after. So, you know, safety is our top priority and always has been, you know.
Great. No, I understand. And hopefully the city of Orlando will take you up on that. Scott, this has been such an amazing and enlightening conversation, learning about you as a person, as a business person, as a father, as a philanthropist, seeing our kind of paths intertwined, so to speak, you know, Maddie being my neighbor, and kind of just so many things that we can mirror onto each other. Just thank you for being a participant in an interview on my podcast. I really, really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much. You know, you always want to tell your story, and I'm a big believer in small business. I'm a big believer in entrepreneurs. One of my passions is helping people start up businesses. It's very easy to start up your business. It's very easy to get an LLC. I've done it for many of my coworkers along the way. We have a construction guy that's been working on a start a business. So we're all about that. If you ever need help setting up LLCs or whatever, I can help point you in the right direction. It's not a mountain. It's a molehill that we could climb over and help people do. But I'm just honored to be asked to talk to you, as well as be associated with Thomas and Caleb and some of those other people that you had on. So I appreciate it and grateful for it.
Well, it's my pleasure. And I'm also very grateful for you taking the time out of your busy schedule where you're doing so many things. I just want to remind the listener out there about the Athlete Connection Foundation is hosting their annual scholarship awards. We mentioned it earlier in the podcast. It's next week on May 29th, and tickets are still available for $30 each, obviously going towards a great cause. And I'm going to include all of Scott's contact information, his personal contact information, if he wants me to, his websites. Scott, where can people find you if they want to hear that and find you on their own?
Sure. It's easy to email me, scott@orlandojobs.com. And you can find me on all social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook at Scott KOT. I am a little famous for something on Instagram. I do every once in a while I come on with a beer chug and try to show up all the younger guys around me. And when I say famous, I think I have 5 or 6 people liking it every time. But, I act like it's millions. So I'm very proud of my beer chug skills.
Well, I will be sure not to accidentally challenge you to that, which is something I've been known to do.
Maybe that's what we do a collab on. Me, you, Caleb, and Thomas will just do a beer chug.
Boom. What a here. You've heard it here first, folks. Guys, everything Scott just said, I'll put in the podcast description in the bottom. Just click on Spotify or Apple when you're going on there to see your next one, and scroll down and you'll see that information. While you're there, of course, you're going to see my contact information, my cell phone. Text me. You can go to imphilkruse.com to find me. I'm on all social media platforms @_Phil Kruse. Again, that's Kruse with a K. I launched my YouTube channel a couple weeks ago, so you may have watched this on YouTube. And if you haven't, go check out the interviews that we mentioned and a bunch of other episodes over on YouTube. And again, don't forget about my real estate services. I specialize in working with both residential buyers and sellers. I'm a listing specialist, and a portion of all my commissions go to the charity of your choosing, or if it's easier for you, to the New Image Youth Center, where I mentor every Sunday. Scott, thank you so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure.
All right. And to everybody out there in Phil Kruse land, go create memories.
That's right. Let's go create memories. Life is too short. And with that said, to the listener, always know that your best life in Orlando is within reach. Keep embracing every moment. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for listening as well out there.
Appreciate it. Be good.